Okay, let's move on. And Dr. Cole, I was fascinated by CBS's 60 Minutes program last Sunday in a segment simply called Do Probiotics Do Anything? This was a story about gut microbiome, where trillions of intestinal bacteria and hundreds of different species are, of course, in your stomach and gut. And I thought no better person to have on than Karen Malkin. She is just the best at these subjects, and she is a board-certified integrative health coach and eating psychology expert, and our experts of all things food and diet and cleanses here on Sports Medicine Weekly. So let's bring on Karen. Karen, thanks so much for joining us here on this Saturday morning. And are you familiar with the 60 Minutes special that was on last Sunday?
Yes, I watched it, and it was fascinating. And there was so much conflicting evidence. You could see that for every PhD researcher, there was an opposite PhD that was showing the exact opposite research. And I think, you know, what we do know is that there does seem to be some sort of agreement from these researchers that we can alter the diversity of our microbiome. And we have trillions of microbiome cells in our gut, and it's kind of like your fingerprint, and we're all so unique, and nobody has the same exact microbiota.
Let's face it, there's probiotics now. That's kind of a hot thing in all the health food stores, and some are bad tasting, and I even eat one in a breakfast bar. Probiotics. So give us a rundown of how this stuff was created, and should we be eating it and drinking it?
So probiotics are not regulated by the FDA. So, as you said, you could find probiotics in your drink. You can find prebiotics in your hand sanitizers. There's probiotics in a baby formula, in dog food. I mean, it's crazy. There was a small study that showed only 1 of 16 probiotics actually contained what they claimed on the label. So, for instance, VSL3, which is a very popular probiotic that's often recommended by physicians, is not the same today as it was 6 years ago because of the formulation change, because of the ownership of the company, and they made it differently. And I think this tends to happen with products that are on the shelves. Is we don't really, it doesn't always match what's on the label, especially if they're not regulated.
Karen, these are not really medical foods. These are over-the-counter. They're not nutritional supplements. They're not medical foods. They're food, I assume, right? I mean, that's how they're generally categorized.
Yeah, I mean, they're live microbes. So when you orally ingest a probiotic, which is alive, it's not always able to live in the gut of an individual, and it's usually gone within 48 hours. But then again, it may live in others. And so we don't really have a way to currently identify, like, people where the probiotics would work, before we decide which probiotic we should be using.
Again, we're visiting with Karen Malkin, board-certified integrative health coach and eating psychology expert. Steve Cashel with Dr. Brian Cole at Sports Medicine Weekly talking about do probiotics do anything? Karen, do you ever recommend probiotics with what you do?
I do take probiotics when I travel, especially overseas, because of the bacteria in the water is different. I do take it myself when I take an antibiotic, but again, we don't have long-term studies and research. So I typically don't take it on a daily basis. What I can tell you is that your diet is probably the main driver for a healthy gut microbiota, and this is across your entire lifespan, right? So over an average lifespan, we consume about 15 tons of food pass through our GI tract. So I recommend using food to help feed your gut, and fiber is the key. If you leave with one tip today, it's fiber, because fiber is food for those microbes. It feeds on fiber, and so fermented foods, like yogurt is fermented dairy, kefir, cheeses, vegetables, fish, kimchi, kombucha. They'll add this dietary fiber, which then feeds the good bacteria, and that's going to enhance the benefit of the fermented foods. So get your fiber, get your vegetables, and we just don't know enough about probiotics. I don't know that there's no research that says that they're harmful. There's just not long-term research to really say that it could have a great benefit, unless you're doing something where you want to heal C. diff, and that's through like fecal transplants. And they've also done studies with fecal transplants in obese mice, giving it to another mouse, and then that mouse also became obese. So that's really interesting. The studies are very interesting, and we just don't know enough yet.
One of the challenges is that the animal, you can do a reasonably controlled environment in an animal, and having been involved with a number of what we call in vivo studies where we use different models to mimic what happens in people, it's an enormous challenge to actually translate that to humans.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fascinating, and I'm excited to see what comes from the research with, around inflammation. Some of the studies are showing it can affect insulin resistance, obesity, cardiovascular disease, dementia, and Alzheimer's, like cancer, autoimmune disease, depression. We just don't know exactly how to treat these conditions yet. But I'm hopeful that one day.
Again, we're visiting with Karen Malkin, board-certified integrative health coach and eating psychology expert, with Steve Cashel and Dr. Brian Cole. You're listening to Sports Medicine Weekly here on The Score. And Dr. Cole, I also wanted to bring Karen on to congratulate her on her new recipe, and something that our listeners can now purchase. And I have tried her new protein brownie bar. My sons have both tried them. They're big athletes, and they absolutely love them. So I wanted to get Karen on to ask about the protein brownie bar. How, Karen, you create and develop a product like this to be so healthy and so good tasting, because it really is, and better than anything we were buying at the local store that we thought were healthy. So take us through how this is developed and your success with it.
Thank you. I'm glad you love them as much as I do. I think this could be one of my best creations yet. As you may know, I make homemade snacks and foods for my clients when we meet. And so I have over 450 recipes on my website, all my healthy snacks. And so I try to take some of my homemade bars and brownies and healthy desserts, and I try to create a packaged bar around it. So it's a lot of going back and forth. I'm actually, my vegan transformation bar is being reformulated, and that'll be ready sometime in August. But this protein brownie, it's a hit. It's 13 grams of quality whey protein, sweetened with dates, so there's no added sugar. It's got some fiber. It's got coconut oil, and it's got almond butter for healthy fat. And then you probably tasted those dark chocolate chips, which are 100% cacao. And they're just really delicious and very clean. You can't really get clean packaged protein bars, many on the market. There's a few, but they're not very many.
Steve, recently Karen donated hundreds of these bars as a thank you to the frontline workers at Rush. And I know a lot of these folks, and they were super appreciative. And it is really good. I've had a number of these types of bars, and it's interesting. If you even talk to nutrition companies, they hire food scientists whose full-time job is to figure out how to make healthy food, when you combine them together, taste good, because inherently sometimes that's an enormous challenge. So Karen, thank you. You sent me 2 boxes, and I'm always looking for something that's simple and easy that I can keep in my computer bag, because it's just hard for me to just always, I don't eat out at all during the day, make breakfast, bring lunch, and it's hard to find a snack. So this one's legit, and not downplaying anything else you've ever done, but you said it yourself, it's your best creation ever. This one is legitimate. This will be a mainstay for me. So congratulations. I don't know how you get the word out. Maybe hopefully this helps, but this is the real deal, and I'm it's going to be during the day when I operate. So pretty much every day last week, I had one in my bag. So I got to get more. I guess I go to your website, right?
Yeah, you can go to my website, KarenMalkin.com. I also have them on Amazon. So Karen Malkin's Protein Brownie Bars. It's a brown and white wrapper. So you can get them there, and then feel free to follow me on at Instagram. I'm at Karen Malkin Health, and they can learn more there as well. But I'm so glad you like them, and you know what? They're a packaged healthy bar, which is actually COVID friendly and safe.
Karen, when's the best time to eat a bar like that? I'm not as active as my boys with their hockey, baseball, basketball, football, and, they're getting back into all those things now. I try to get a workout, 4 or 5 days a week. Is it a breakfast bar? Is it a pre-workout, post-workout? What do you suggest?
I use it as a healthy dessert because it tastes like a brownie. And I'll also have it for an afternoon snack or a pre or post workout. So anytime I need an energy boost or I'm in the face of a craving. Don't forget you still have to eat your phytochemicals, which are your vegetables and fruits.
And Karen, before we let you go, and you're so valuable to our show, anything else you want to add? Anything that's new going on in the world of food science?
Just know that adding in more quality foods, especially with this pandemic, is reducing inflammation. Eating 5 to 9 servings of vegetables and fruits each day and getting your sleep, I think, is really, and reducing stress, I think, is going to help us all stay healthy and also reduce cravings for refined food.
Yeah, Karen, I think those are good recommendations because people need things to do to manage now. It's not getting easier as we're seeing. It doesn't seem to be changing or going away per se, but people have we're all inherently very resilient. So this is a time that things tips like that, proper sleep, recovery, and nutrition, it's more meaningful now than ever, as I think the anxiety level, the psychological impact is probably higher than ever for virtually anything that we've seen, perhaps maybe since maybe even 9/11 or other, So it's a tough time. So those are great pearls, and I'm always appreciative, and I always take heed to your advice.
Karen, one last thought. With COVID and the coronavirus, I've heard this theory of if you order takeout food and obviously bring it home, put it in the microwave. Do you believe in that theory?
I just wipe everything down with the containers with alcohol, and I pretty much dump it into a clean container and then reheat it. I don't own a microwave. I use a steam oven, or I'll reheat food on a pan. And I tend to do more cooking than I do takeout. But what I do is I transfer the food into a clean container and then dispose of the boxes.
Fantastic. Hey, Karen, thanks so much. Again, KarenMalkin.com, and look for Karen Malkin's Protein Brownie Bars on Amazon. We really appreciate the contributions you make to our show, and as Dr. Cole said, the contributions you made with the protein bars that you've given away, and highly suggested for all of our listeners to go to your website and order your bar. But thanks so much. Stay healthy and continued success.
You too. Thank you.
That's Karen Malkin, board-certified integrative health coach and eating psychology expert, KarenMalkin.com. Back with more of Sports Medicine Weekly and our staple of the show. It's our Ask the Doctor segment. We have a couple of great questions for Dr. Cole as our coverage continues here on The Score. Stay with us.